Hey guys, this is Jake from Stay Fun. Today we're gonna be working on the Suburban. Got a few things that need to button up before we take an Outer Banks fishing trip. Heater core, shocks, battery. Let's get to it. So first things first, we are filming at the new shop, new garage. Technically it's still being built and it's actually part of the house, you know. It's not a dedicated shop yet. 3 car, Emily gets 1 car, so I only got a 2. But if I put lifts in here, you know, I put a lift on both sides, it's technically like a 4 car, right? I did wire up some random Amazon lights up here to try and give a little bit of light on the situation here. I also got a hazard freight Icon off-road creeper, crawler, whatever you want to call that thing. Figured it would work okay. And it was on a pretty good sale. Now, what we're planning on doing on this is the heater core, because it busted on the last trip out, started leaking fluid all over the passenger floorboard, and that's not good. I've got shocks and struts to go all the way around the vehicle, so it's a little bit more comfortable ride out there in the sandy beaches and stuff, and a battery because it was starting to die on me. Nice premium battery. If you haven't seen this vehicle before YouTube, I actually did an LS swap on it. It had a 350 Chevrolet small block in it, blew a head gasket, so I was like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and LS swap it. Bought what was supposed to be a 5.3 liter, turned out to be a 4.8. Stuck it in there anyways because it's still got a little bit more power, get up and go, and all that good stuff as compared to the 350. Plus, with that, I was able to do an ethanol conversion, which I do have on YouTube. It's gonna be linked down in the description below. Check it out if you haven't already. Stuck a ethanol sensor, wideband O2, programmed the ECU to accept the varying degrees of ethanol from regular gas and the variances between having regular gas mixed with E85, the variances of E85, all of that good stuff so that it can run more optimally across the whole spectrum. So that was our last video on this guy. Now it's heater core, shocks, battery. Well, let's get started. So we're probably gonna start off with the battery first. A little 2-post thing, pretty simple. Oh, yeah, I'll set it back on the ground. Couple screws here and there. Screw in post, sorry. Oh, this one doesn't even have a go handle. Oh. This one does, look at that, much better. All right. Simple enough, let's make sure it actually cranks. This should be the easy part. Cranks and runs just fine. Success. Next up, I guess, is probably the heater core. So what I did with this guy, when it started leaking on me, I just looped my 2 hoses together. Hopefully you can see that okay. Looped them together with a little piece of round tubing, copper tubing maybe. And that works to keep it from blowing coolant everywhere and leaking into my thing, but doesn't work when you want heat. So let's get that replaced now. All right, so I'm pretty sure to get to the heater core, I'm gonna have to take the glove box out, which is not too big of a deal, honestly. It's just got a few bolts down here along the bottom. And I should be able to kind of shift it and shimmy its way right out. And then we'll see what I've got to get to that holds the heater box in place and go ahead and get that pulled out too. Let's try and get a quick extractor on it. That'll work. This is where everything falls out on me now. Got all my cut wires from where the computer was. So the heater box is probably behind this inset right here. I think it's just bolt here, 2 bolts there. Perfect. Yep, came off easily enough. Well, I got a little bit ahead of myself. I do need to take this out and that off and all that stuff. But first, I actually need to loosen the box from the outside in the engine bay. And there's 3 bolts there that one of them is a pain in the butt. So I guess let's go do that now. So the bolt I was talking about is way up under here in between this little crack and everything. So hopefully with some extensions and swivels and stuff, we can get to that guy. This one's easy to get to, it's just right there. And then another one down at the bottom that's hard to see, but easy to get to. So let's get those 3 off and we'll go from there. So extension, swivel, 7/16, and the most luck I can possibly muster. Okay, it's right there. Probably help if I had smaller hands. Oh my gosh, it's working! It's working! Okay, it'll need a little bit more speed. I got it loose, but I want to get it off. So this is not the preferred method. But hey, if it works, it works. There it is. Numero uno. There we go. I was wondering why it felt funny when I was trying to take it out. It's because it was shearing the bolt off. So this one doesn't feel as funny. It's nice and simple coming out. All right, now that we got those three off, let's head back inside and get to work in there. All right, so now that we got that done and we're back inside, I believe there's one more nut on this side, and then we'll try and pull it loose and see what else is hanging up. All right, that's a nice long one too. Let's see if it'll jostle free now. It's been hanging up on this one stud. Let me go knock it around a little bit. There it went. All right, so it's loose. I just gotta find all the different wires and vacuum tubes and control lines and stuff like that. Oh, look, it's draining fluid out of the old busted heater core. That'll be fun to clean up. Let's look back up in here and see if we can get this thing loosened up here. It's an interesting bolt location because I can't figure out how you're supposed to get to it. I got it almost out with my fingers. That was a pain though. I wonder if it's easier to get to before you pull it loose. There we go. All right, that control wire is loose. Now this vacuum line came from somewhere, but I don't know where. That's perfect. This vacuum line here, come off. There you go. And we got a vacuum line on this corner piece here. There we go. Third one goes right here then, I guess. Now let me make sure I remember which one of those goes where. Either that or I'll have stuff backwards, I guess. Let's go walk this over to the gator where we can work on it a little easier. All right, so now we got it on the makeshift workbench. Let's see what's needed to get this thing out. You telling me I gotta pull this whole thing apart too? That's insane just to get this stinking thing out. Why did GM have to make this the most annoying thing possible? That's annoying. So that screws out, apparently. Oh, there's a bolt on that at least. That's a pain. I need a better workbench. I ought to build one in here in this garage. Alright, now that I got all the parts and pieces pulled out, here's the thing that I've been wanting to get to the whole time. One bolt, two bolt, three bolt. A couple of brackets. Ha-ha! It's free! Alright, so this is a replacement. Looks like it's got tighter fins. In general, the overall size is the same. Okay, so that goes in there like that. And now we just do the reverse. Wish me luck. Alright, now we get to try and put this all back together. Now I did have this little flap, it came loose on me. So I need to make sure that I get that back in the right place. That goes like there. Well, that's painfully difficult. Alright, it's attached. Get our What's-it line back up. Get this back installed. Got a bracket here that goes back in place right there. Well, now that that's all back together, we can throw it back in the Suburban. And then we gotta hook up all the lines correctly. All right, so now that we got it back inside, we gotta figure out how all these hoses and clamps and everything go back together. Specifically the vacuum hoses, that's what I'm referring to. All right, first things first, I should probably turn it around the right way. I'll take these cap covers off. Let's see, here's this one here. I know it goes on the end here. What's nice about these is they have little rings on them to kind of hold them onto the vacuum line. It kind of wraps around the 90-degree elbow on the vacuum port. So there's this one and this one. This one goes there and that one goes there. That one right there. And then this one That one goes on there. All right, get all these wires somewhat out of my way maybe. How's that supposed to go up in there? I wonder if I should start with this thing flipped over and rotate it up in that way. That would probably work better. To disconnect these vacuum hoses. Yeah, that one should be fine. Flip her over like that. Oh man, look at how much easier that was. Now I gotta get to those vacuum hoses though. There's one here. Got it. Where's that other one? There it is. Gotta get it back up in there. There, up in there. There it is. Yep, that one's on now. There's my cable controller. There's my cable controller. Cable controller. Let's go back onto that guy. Let's see if I can get this lined up to go back on now. Okay, that ain't too bad. Should be able to get this one bolt from the inside on there. I'm gonna go put one of the nuts on the outside, and I'll be right back. All right, I got one nut loosely finger tight on. Let's get this guy in now. Ugh. That should hold it still enough that I can go ahead and put all this back together, and then we'll put all the bolts on the outside, hook up my water lines again, and then I guess that'll be this part complete, and we can move on to the, what are those things called? The shocks, that's it. Let's see now, here's the little bolt that goes on the adjustomatic thing. You know, that thing that adjusts whether it's hot or cold, or you know what I'm talking about. Let's see if I can get this in place. All right, still got it kind of loose so I can set this. Got my little like it's like a nut, but it's not a nut, and it just slides over top of it. Anyways, let's see, let's put that all the way to cold. All right, and then we'll make sure that's the max reach my flap. That seems like a pretty good location. Okay, tighten down. Now if I go from cold to hot, oh yeah, that's good. That's nice, that's actually real nice. So benefit of doing this is I got to adjust that back, because before when I would go full cold, the slider would stop before I got all the way to full cold. So that means full cold was really here, but when I went full hot, I wasn't actually at full hot. So now I have the full range of motion. Maybe that'll help out with the heat. Functioning heater core should also help. I need to put this bolt back up in this weird corner here. That ought to do. It's going into plastic, so I don't want to over tighten it. The verter thingamajig. There we go. Now let's just go in best. Like that. Boom. There it is. Inside done. Let's go ahead and tighten the bolts on the outside, hook up my hoses, and that'll be a heater core replacement complete. All right, so I think I'm gonna start with the most annoying one. Go ahead and get that in and on and whatever the words are. Let's see if I can start it by hand first. Woo! All right. Tight enough. And then we'll tighten some of them down by hand, just to make sure they're tight and that I don't accidentally break them off. Now that I got a new heater core that's not leaking, I can actually hook these hoses up instead of having them looped together. Alright, bottom hose. Let's see if I can get you tightened down. There she is, tightened down. Heater core hose. And tighten this sucker down. Alrighty. Now at this point, I'll probably end up having to top off the coolant, but I don't have any right now, so I'll do that later. There it is though, heater core replaced. So now we should have, at least theoretically, should have some good heat inside the cab. Moving on though, let's go ahead and get these shocks replaced before we bounce our way down the road. All right, we got some tight working conditions, but I got a bolt here, I got a bolt up top, and then that ought to drop out. We can get this new one hooked up in there and see how well we do. I think what I'm gonna do with this one is I'm gonna put it on like this up top, and then I'll cut the cord here and try and aim this sucker, see if I can get the bolts in there at just the right time. That way I don't have to try and keep it compressed while I put it up on this side. There you go. 1 shock replaced, 3 more to go. Alrighty, that's a wrap on the shocks. I guess it's ready for the Outer Banks trip. Woo! All right, guys, we got all packed up and we're on our way to the beach. I will check in with you at the end of the video with E85 results. So enjoy this little bit of B-roll of our beach trip. Fishing trip, major success. It was actually a catching trip. We caught fish. Yes! Such a relief. First time we've gone fishing all year, which is actually very sad to say. Anyways, Suburban did great going out there and back. Ran on E85 on the way out, ran on regular fuel out there and on the way back. The heater core that we replaced, that worked flawlessly. There was so much heat inside that cab, which was good because we had quite a few cold days. It was windy, cold, just chilled you to the bone, really. Shocks seemed to help a little bit, but not as much as I was hoping for. Probably because the rest of the suspension, I bet, is wore out. Could use a replacement. So for the E85 results you've been waiting for, I did get 12 miles to the gallon on E85 running out there. Filled up with regular fuel, so the ethanol content was probably lower, maybe like 20%, 30% at the most, I would expect. After that, ran around on the Outer Banks and out there in the sand, the beach and everything. I expect a much lower mile per gallon. Still got 11.8, which I thought was pretty impressive for how much sand driving, four-wheel drive, soft sand stuff we were doing. And then on the way back, filled up at another station, so that ethanol content should be down below the 10% mark. I didn't double check it, but you know. And on the way back, we got 12.5 miles per gallon. So only a half mile per gallon difference between the drive out there on E85 and the drive back on regular fuel. So that half mile per gallon is at 12 miles per gallon average is about 4 or 5% loss, which is not much, especially when you consider the cost of fuel is 60 cents per gallon cheaper with E85. So 60 cents a gallon at a $3.50 regular fuel, that's more than 15% discount essentially. In this particular case, it is more economical for me to run E85. The Second benefit is on the way back, I could definitely feel the power loss, the difference in the ability to keep going and, you know, the torque to actually keep moving, especially at the speeds I was running. This thing does really like 80 to 85 mile an hour, which is surprising. It's very smooth and everything, but that 4.8 liter must not have quite enough oomph to keep this massive beast going without a little bit more power. So the boost from E85 definitely felt, and since it is more economical, I am very happy to be riding around in it. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching the heater core, the shocks, the beach trip. Hope you enjoyed seeing some of that stuff, and well, y'all have a good one.